What's up, addicts? In this video, we're going to be breaking down the Week 3 game between the Dallas Renegades and the Seattle Dragons, giving you guys all those fantasy start sits across this game. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get going right away. Alright guys, so in this game, it's going to be very interesting. This is another home game for Seattle. They played pretty well on defense last week. Their offense looked really sloppy, and the Dallas Renegades definitely came alive in the fourth quarter, showed us what their true potential was with that air raid offense there, with Landry Jones and Artis-Payne leading the way. Now, the over-under in this one is 43.5, and Dallas is actually favored to win on the road by 4.5 points. So, all of the over-unders are right about the same this week. They definitely dipped down by about 5 points on average from what we saw in Week 2, which was a drop from Week 1. A lot of the betting markets are starting to catch up with the fact that the scores are a little bit lower while these offenses are trying to find their footing in this league. So we'll begin with the away team and looking at the players that we should start in this week. Now, Landry Jones definitely had a mixed bag of a game last week, throwing multiple interceptions, but I'm fully on board with him this week after getting another week to play with the starters, another week to get a little bit more rapport. Definitely don't lose faith. Landry Jones is a solid start this week. On the running back side, Artis-Payne looked above, like a tier above every other player in the entire XFL, at least from the running back position. And definitely don't sleep on Lance Dunbar, guys. He's received 6 targets in both games that he's played, and he's been averaging 6 yards per carry. So both Artis-Payne and Lance Dunbar have become tremendous running back values. I'm starting both of them with confidence this week. All right, on the receiver side, Jeff Badet missed half of the game last week with I believe it was a quad injury. I'm not sure exactly. They never said. But he still had a very modest output, coming back and receiving a lot of targets. Had 8 targets on the day. He was the second most targeted guy outside of Donald Parham, and was looked at deep down the field and in the red zone. Definitely comfortable with starting him. Jess Ferguson was a surprise inactive last week dealing with that injury, but he should be active this week. So if you have him on your team, I think he's worth a start. Definitely going to be interesting to see how they end up using him. But not really interested in any other wide receivers just because of the high usage of running backs and tight ends in this system. There's not really too much more volume to go around. All right, looking at the tight end, speaking of Donald Parham, holy crap, 11 targets last week, and honestly could have had 3 touchdowns in that game. There was one that was just a little bit overthrown, and then another one that Donald Parham just let get away from him, but he could have had a massive game. He still had a really good game, getting 8 catches, but 11 targets is insane. So definitely have to start him. He's become the top tight end in the league. And then Sean Price is still worth starting. He's definitely lower tier than Donald Parham right now, but it's still a pretty good start considering how few tight ends there are in this league. On the defensive side, Brandon Silvers looked terrible last week, and Dallas' defense has been subpar, okay. But this is a good week to check them out if you, I know they're on the road, but if Brandon Silvers continues to play like he did last week, Dallas should put up a pretty nice fantasy performance. All right, looking at the Dragons, as I just said, Silvers looked really rough last week, didn't even have 100 passing yards. The only difference between him and Matt McGloin was that his team was playing well against him, and Brandon Silvers didn't have a meltdown on the sideline. So I wouldn't be surprised if Silvers is on a short lease and we end up seeing BJ Daniels soon enough. You can start him, but start at your own risk. On the running back side, this is a really interesting run game that has actually been really good, but it's been a annoying 3-headed backfield with Trey Williams, Jaquan Gardner, and Kenneth Farrow pretty much getting even running back splits in this one. But both Kenneth Farrow and Jaquan Gardner, they're probable, but they've been dealing with an injury all week. Kenneth Farrow with a rib and Gardner with an ankle. I definitely think that will limit their touches this week. I really like Trey Williams a lot. Probably on your waiver wires, just based on where people are drafting him. So I think he's a pretty sneaky start this week, especially in DFS. I have him pretty heavily invested in my DFS lineup. So like Trey Williams a lot this week, probably not starting anyone else in the running backs here. On the wide receiver side, Keenan Reynolds has a healthy 25.4% target share, and the Dragons just dumped S.J. Green to Tampa. Kason Williams is out, so Austin Proehl might be a decent target again this week, but Silvers just, he could have had a big touchdown last week, and Silvers just absolutely missed it. So it might be hard to trust him just based on what we've seen, but Keenan Reynolds is getting enough targets to go back to the well there. Start Austin Proehl if you need to, but I'm trying to avoid him if I can, and I'm not starting Dontez Bird here. There has been no real tight end production up to this point. There's 3 guys that they're using pretty consistently, and they're only getting like 1 or 2 targets a week. Pass on them unless you absolutely have to, and then I mean, it's a flip a coin between Colin Jeter, Ben Johnson, and Evan Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez is the best guy there, but they're not using him, so it doesn't matter. On the defense side, this defense has actually been pretty decent and has been scoring a good amount of fantasy points, but I'm looking for the Renegades to be even more efficient than they were last week, so I'm probably not starting the Dragons defense, even though they're at home here in front of that Seattle crowd. So overall, I like the Renegades to cover this week. I think that they'll be able to win this one pretty handily. Definitely think that this one will be probably around the over-under. I think the Renegades will just end up having more points and the Dragons won't be able to quite keep up with them. But definitely a good game to target for DFS. Should be some scoring on both sides of the ball. Anyway, thank you guys again so much for watching. Check out my website at fantasyaddictionnetwork.com for rankings. Everything that you need to be able to maintain your fantasy leagues. Got a ton of stuff up there. So we added stats this week, so make sure you check that out. Hit that like and subscribe button for more XFL content. Appreciate you guys watching. Really do appreciate all the support. It's been fantastic to be able to share all this information with you guys about the XFL. I'm having a ton of fun and hope that you guys are as well. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next video.